skip yourself ahead to the intro. Shouldn't be more than a couple of minutes now. I'm just waiting for the last couple of people. Should be, I think, 19 or 20 drivers on the grid tonight, which is sensational to have another full grid yet again if we can, and even so we're very close, which is always good. And yeah, in store for another good race. I think today we're at the Silverstone, short quali, 26 laps. Always a pleasure when we come, or always a good race when we come to Silverstone in APPF1. A lot of the drivers on the grid are British, so it's a lot of people's home race. They want to impress, they want to do the home crowd proud, and of course it's Silverstone. Everyone loves Silverstone because it's just such an amazing track, amazing circuit. Not much in the way of undulation, but the corners, they're fast, they're flowing, there's an abundance of overtaking. The tyres don't really play much of a factor. It's a pretty simple soft to medium strategy, so it really is just down to the pure pace, the pure consistency of some drivers, because you really do not want to be touching the hard tyres whatsoever. But hey, it is on dynamic weather. We may see some rain, which could spice things up. If there is rain late into a race, maybe you want to go for the hards, maybe you want to go for the mediums to get yourself to that stage. We never ever know. And while we're in the commentary box, we are always flying blind compared to the drivers. Welcoming in everyone who is joining us from home. It's a pleasure to have you in the stream as always. If you don't know my name, it is in the name of the YouTube channel, but you should do. My name is Zach Sweeney. I'm your commentator for this evening. And I think we've got a couple of newbies coming in this evening, so we're always going to welcome in with open arms. Say hello, make sure they're welcome, and they're being introduced to the world of Formula 1 that we've come to know and love in the best way possible. And I'm sure APPF1 will do the best justice that they possibly can do in selling Formula 1 to an audience, because I know, well, APPF1 have done it to people in the past. People I know has managed to solve them and get them to indulge in the world of motorsport as a whole. So thank you to APPF1 for doing that, and of course being the catalyst, I guess you could say, of my air quotes commentary career. But overall, yeah, I certainly cannot wait to get going. What? That's so cool. My stream is automated. Oh no, it just tags me. I thought it like post my stream automatically. That's cool though, if that could happen. Anyway, we got a full grid. That is fantastic. Full grid, we always love a full grid. Absolutely love a full grid. It's the best grid to have. It's a full one. Who we got in the stream? We've got a couple of people watching. It is a pleasure to have you in, as I said before. But as I say, it is a pleasure to have you in. We are getting ourselves ready up. Brick is in the chat, waiting for his acquaintances to come in and say hello. Hopefully they're not going to be too shy and come in and say hello. I've heard they're not particularly fond, perhaps, of Formula 1, but I'm going to do my best, and APPF1 are going to do their best in order to sell the show. And we are getting ourselves readied up, so I will say a massive hello and welcome one and all back to the APPF1 Tier 1 Championship. It's round number 3 already, and after a stellar outing last time out at Spain, we come to the heart of motorsport for the British Grand Prix. Davila comes into this round leading the championship for the first time in his APPF1 career. Though with many people in contention, he has his work cut out for him if he wants to reign victorious come the season's end. Silverstone then is a fantastic, fast and flowing circuit with some of the world's most famous corners situated right here. Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel are a driver's favourite with their sweeping nature, and with overtaking opportunities in abundance, Britain is always one to remember, especially when the APPF1 boys take to the stage. Still a long way to go though in the hunt for the Season 3 crown, but who will rise to the occasion and take their best leap forward? We will find out in just over an hour's time. With that out of the way though, ladies and gents, a massive thank you to our sponsor High Dive Apparel for bringing you the action. I'm Zach Sweeney, the man, boy, talking you through this evening of a race, and buckle up, round 3 starts right now. and we got ourselves a short qualifying session. 18 minutes then on the clock. Seems to be clear skies for the remainder of qualifying. No clouds in sight, which is quite surprising given it's November in England. Zuba, well, I'll try my best not to, but you always leave yourself up to a bit of a taking the mickey out of. A lot of people on the soft, that probably is going to be the consistent theme for a lot of people. Should be a pretty easy soft to medium strategy. Of course, the Red Wall soft tyres, if you are new to Formula 1, the soft tyres, they have the out and out grip. They're the softest rubber. They give you the most speed. They glue the car to the track effectively and give them that incredible cornering speed. They warm up a lot quicker because of the softer nature, and they're a lot more malleable in terms of the lateral forces that they can withstand through the corners. That gives them the nice grip compared to the likes of the mediums or the hards, which are slightly harder compounds. However, the mediums and the hards are slightly slower, but because of their harder rubber, they last slightly longer. They don't wear and tear as quickly as the soft compound tyres do. So that's why you'll see the softs often in qualifying, because qualifying is all about getting the lap in, going as fast as you can, leaving nothing on the table whatsoever, and just getting that lap in, giving yourself that best starting position for the race ahead. And then of course it's down in the race for you to sort of calm it down a little bit, still give it 110% if possible, but just rein it in a little bit, be more consistent, focus on that race pace. You've got 26 laps ahead of you after qualifying. You don't want to throw it all away on lap 1. But lap 1, easiest place to make up places if you can. Definitely do it. Taylor Hammers in the Williams, a British team, a British driver, on these soft compound tyres, then through the Vale chicane and through the final corner of Club. This little kink to the right, don't want to mount that sausage curb on the inside to start your lap then, and they're coming in towards Abbey, the flat out right hander in modern day Formula 1 cars. 8th gear, 182 miles an hour through farm, this quick kink to the left, then brake as soon as you're in a straight line for Village, down to 3rd gear, 2nd gear for the Williams, in towards the loop, again brake when you're in a straight line. Nice late apex, build up the traction, short shift up the gears through Aintree onto the Hanger Straight, down towards Brooklands, looking for that 50 board to end off sector 1, down to 4th gear, just chuck the car in, bit deep from the Williams, and then through Luffield you'll often see drivers take a nice V-shaped line through there, go in deep, cut back, get a nice late apex to get this awesome run through Woodcote down the old pit straight, through Copse Corner, bit of a quick jolt to the right, not quite flat out in quali spec, a little bit of a caution lift, then through the amazing Maggots, Beckett's, chuck it in, couple of downshifts, and then brake, dab on the brakes, down to 5th, 4th gear through Chapel, and on to the Wellington Straight. DRS open then for Taylor Hammers as he blitzes his way down in towards Stoke Corner, one of the most incredible corners, one of the best overtaking opportunities. Look for the start of the curb, down 3 gears, down to 5th, 4th for Taylor, and then as soon as you're off the brakes, you're straight back on the power, looking for the start of this curb, down to 3rd, 2nd gear, maybe through the first part of the Vale chicane, mount that curb on the inside, then just slowly build up the power, get that traction down, and across the line for Taylor Hammers. It's a 28.797, a decent banker time. He's going to want to improve upon that. This is Koru, who of course won this sprint race on Sunday, the reverse grid sprint race, to take his maiden pole and his maiden victory in the sprint. Across the line, it's a 27.7, just over a second quicker than his RRL companion. AP 27.9 on the medium tyre. Not a bad effort from the Aston Martin, who for his probably 50th home Grand Prix this season alone, despite there only being 3 races, is looking to impress. Ghost quickest so far at 27.258 in the AlphaTauri on those soft compound tyres, as I said. So perhaps getting a banker time in, doesn't want to start on those mediums, I'm sure, but it's getting a banker time in as to not waste the softs. There is a rule about preserving tyres, though it's not about keeping the mediums on. It's not about whether or not you can use mediums to save stuff, it's whether or not you can use inters, and I found that out the hard way during the F1 Elite race. Speed Alcoholic settles into P2, making it a Red Bull 2-3 and an all Honda 1-2-3 in terms of the engine supply. Kiernan Teat, though, quickly puts that to an end and dominates the time and cheats to 26.927 for Kiernan, who's looking to take 3 poles in a row, I believe anyway. Can't quite remember who got pole in Spain. He got his first pole back in Imola, got his first win in Spain, and is going to probably be trying to look to do the double whammy, pole and the win today on home turf and in the Mercedes. A couple more drivers settling in. And a couple of drivers now finishing their first laps and bringing themselves back into the pit lane. This is Aces on his lap in the other Mercedes. Aces needs to try and get his form back. He's not had the best start to the season in the world, but if you look back to last season, didn't have the best start there either. But he does want to get the ball rolling as quickly as possible as to retain that that championship chance. 27.870 to the first sector for the Mercedes. Not bad. Not particularly amazing though. Bit wide through Luffield. Took a bit of a tighter line there. He definitely could have gained a slight bit of time through Woodcote onto the old pit straight. Aces is going to try and take Cops as flat as possible. Bit of a safety lift. That's the thing with Cops on this new game. It's so inconsistent and can always spit you out if you're not careful. So you just got to be a little bit careful. You don't want to throw the lap away through Cops alone, but if you can keep it flat, you can keep the throttle pin. Just be that precise with the throttle application, the steering input as well as the main thing, and just not hit that bump on the inside apex, and you should be absolutely fine and can gain quite a little bit of time through Stowe and towards the Vale chicane for Aces then for his first lap. Zuba on no line, to be fair, respect to him, P11 and a 29.4, not too far off the rest of the grid. Aces through Club. What time is he going to set on the board? It's going to be good enough for P9, a 27.973. And what is that? AP, Jackalacco, Sumo and Aces all on a 27.9. So 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers all within, well, 72 thousandths of a second. That's less than a blink of an eye between 4 drivers. Might not seem much in realistic terms, but in Formula 1 it means all the world. MX in the Alfa Romeo, the reigning champion, is currently P4. His qualifying performance and race performance, to be fair, hasn't been the best over the course of the first 2 rounds in Imola and Spain. He's going to try and bounce back from that today, and he's so far putting himself in a great position to do so up in P4. On the second row of the grid provisionally, and his teammate Sumo down in P8. Still both inside the top 10, and Zuba just awkwardly parked at Cops. He does not want to get in anyone's way, and just sort of panicked in all fairness. Bluey on his outlap, he's going to be chasing for his first podium of this season. I think maybe even the first top 5. And I really need to get some WD-40 for that door. It is ridiculously loud. Ridiculously squeaky as well, but it's become a staple, I think. Can't have a Sweeney stream without the squeaky door. Lawson cheering on the Tier 2 boys. LB, the I believe current championship leader in Tier 2. Of course I don't commentate on Tier 2. Ghost and Sumo give us the absolute pleasure of letting them do that. This is then McLaren, or well, the second McLaren's first lap. Scott and Bluey then line up the McLaren roster. A bit of a sideways moment through Abbey. Managed to hold that somehow, and then of course carried that through into Farm. Not the quickest way to take that corner, I can tell you from experience. However, still managing to keep it in one piece, and if it is only a banker lap time, just trying to build up the acclimatization to the circuit, build up the confidence, and just look at him. Excess nearly of 200 miles an hour, and potentially purple to the first sector. 28.0 isn't purple, I can tell you that much, despite the game deceiving us a little bit there. Still waiting then for James, Mutsi Peretz, Womax, Bluey and Tier 2 set their first lap times. Womax is on an absolute charge in terms of his recent run of form. I don't even know where this pace has come from. He's just had an absolute resurgence to the front of the grid. He's just clawed his way back and is definitely consistently fighting for a top 6, top 5, even a podium. Especially if you look to his sprint performances and his Tier 1 performance last time out. Even look to the F1 Elites, the newly founded F1 Elites Championship. Womax doing an incredible job getting himself P2 thanks to my penalty. I did try my best to keep Ghost at bay, but it didn't quite work. It was all in vain. This is Bluey in the McLaren, the British team, British driver, coming through the final couple of corners now to start to end his first lap. 8 minutes and 19 seconds left on the clock across the line for Bluey. And it's P12 beating out his teammate and putting himself in a nice position indeed. This is AP starting his first soft compound tyre lap. Previously set his on the mediums. Now going to try his hand at the red marked soft tyre. through Village in towards the loop. AP, another driver to look out for this season. The last, I believe it's the last 2 sprint seasons he's finished third. As I believe that was someone, I think it was Corey, maybe got themselves up into third place. Indeed it was, through the first couple of corners. 365, 369 for speed, so a 3-4 all Red Bull. Oh, that Corey, mate, we got that. He's had a bit of a spin. That's going to be slightly embarrassing, though. He's already set his time of a 27.365, 4 1,000ths of a second quicker than his teammate, who's in P4, just a little bit behind. So both Red Bulls looking quick, looking menacing. Can anyone challenge the likes of Kiernan, though? Bluey out of the session, must have had a crash through cops, lost the rear end, and that is Silverstone for you. It will always bite back if you let it. 5/10 and purple to the middle sector for AP. Gained on his previous best time. That could actually see him up maybe to the second row of the grid if he can hook up this final sector and gain a little bit more time through Stowe in towards Vale. Third gear, keep the traction, keep the high gear so you can quickly get the power down through fifth gear. Sixth, you're going to cross the line, short run is P3, second row of the grid, not far off Ghost to get himself onto the front row either. Only needs a couple hundredths of a second, though. Ghost looking to improve upon his time, needs a couple of attempts to see him topple Kiernan at the top of the timesheets. 6 minutes 30 left to go. Still waiting for Wemax and Tier to set their lap times, though they are both on a lap. What can Ghost do then? Through Maggots, Beckett's Chapel and on to the Wellington Straight. 2/10 and purple. This is looking like a pretty good lap time. He's going to need a little bit more to the final sector if he wants to see himself on provisional pole. Through Stowe. Over, use all the track on the left hand side, breaking a straight line. Second gear for Ghost, bit different approach. Keep the revs high, don't want to bog down. Through Club, is it going to be provisional pole for Ghost then? Across the line? No, it's only a 27.0 lost time to the middle sector. But Speed Alcoholic in the Red Bull, a 26.937, 1/100th of a second separate Kiernan and Speed at the top of the timesheets. That's the difference between first and second. Speed looking to impress with his new fibre broadband. And hopefully not going to be as laggy and all over the place. And certainly making a good impression and impressing on his first day with the new Wi-Fi. Ghost settling in only a couple of tenths back off provisional pole as well. Incredibly close then, separating the top 3. AP and P4, the 2 Alphas looking good. And as it stands, your top 10. Kiernan on provisional pole with Speed and P2. Ghost runs onto the top 3 with AP P4, Corey P5, with Sumo P6. MX P7, Jackalacco P8, Aces P9, and Rick round off the top 10. Rick is going to want to get himself inside the top 5 in order to maintain that championship charge and of course just keep that good run of form that he has been showing. But Rick has a tendency to drop off towards the sort of on the first lap. He really bogs down, though P11 right now probably is going to be one of the best positions for him to be in. Would mount him up for a good first stint and gain him a couple of places and really solidify himself amongst the midfield, gain him a couple of places for sure. So yeah, still 4 minutes left to go. Kiernan yet to set a second lap time. Corey now heading out on his lap, comes out just in front of the Mercedes. Thank you to all those watching at home. It's a pleasure to have you in. Hope you are enjoying the APPF1 stream as always. Still 4 minutes left to go in qualifying. Still a lot of positions up for grabs. This is, I believe I saw someone just race someone a minute ago. Not quite sure where I saw that. Might have been Davila getting or overtaking the Haas. Currently P13. Davila found a bit of pace to start the season. The championship leader coming into Britain for his first time in his APPF1 career. Through the club and across the line. Is it an improved position? Indeed it is. P6, 27.432. Incredibly close then amongst the front. 1/100th of a second separate P1 and 2. Only around about a tenth and a half back to Ghost. Back further 2/10 back to Paus. Half a tenth to Koru. And then between them there's literally half a tenth, less than half a tenth between the rest of the field. So incredibly close. James McCrow, P19 for Alpine. As it stands though, a 1:48.42 isn't going to be a representative of his time. Flat through Cobbs, incredible courage. Ran a little bit too wide though for the game's liking, and unfortunately saw himself invalidate that lap time. He's going to have to go again, recharge the battery, cool down the tyres, maybe even come in for a fresh set. Well, that looks to be a good lap from the Alpine. In fact, let's have a little look at how his time inspectors had a look on that previous lap time. So 27.7 to the first sector, 36.3 to the middle sector. Actually was looking good, relatively good for a decent lap time there for the Alpine. That first sector definitely very strong and up there with Kiernan in speed. The two to beat, it seems, in this Grand Prix or this qualifying session so far. House P4, Corey P5, sandwich between the two Aston Martins. As Davila peels his way into the pit lane. This is Corey then setting his final run in qualifying. The Red Bull won here last time we visited Silverstone for a sprint or tier 1 championship. Through Village in towards the loop. There's a bit of a confuffle later on. A couple of cars stopped. There's an AlphaTauri stopped. Is that Zuba? Is he lost or is it? Yeah, it is Zuba. Through entry nonetheless for Corey. Blitzing his way down. Just look at how many cars there are. It's very congested out there on the circuit at the moment. Hopefully Corey doesn't get held up because he is on a good lap. Goes quicker to the first sector. The Haas though might get in the way a little bit. He does as quickly as he can. Darts out of the way as quickly as he can. Corey probably losing a little bit of time there maybe though, and if he had, he's probably going to report it to the stewards though. Monty Perret did his best job in order to get out of the way. Through Cobb's corner for Corey, keeping the foot pinned, trying to keep that car in a straight line. Through Beckett's chucking it through, bit of a lift and in towards the final part, 5th gear, then slam that throttle down, use the track on the exit. DRS open as you go through Chapel and down the Wellington straight, half a tenth up on his previous best time. As it stands, not good enough to boost him a position. Through Stoke corner, can he just stay committed? 6th gear, then straight back on the power, use the track on the exit. As he approaches 180 miles an hour, has to slam on the anchors down to 2nd gear, 3rd gear to get the traction, build up the confidence in the throttle pedal, use the curb. Through Club and across the line. Is it going to be an improvement of his position? No. Slower to the final sector. Davila feels he can't improve and is going to stay P6. Out laps to the top 3. Kiernan, Speed and Ghost. He's going to be starting his lap now. Trying to improve. Flat through Abbey. Keep that car on a straight line. Just minimise the steering angle as possible. Keep it to the left. Slam on the anchors. Down to 2nd gear. Use the curb on the inside to judge your apex. Same for the loop. Late apex. Build up the traction. Don't want to slide because you've got a long run down the hanger straight. DRS open. That drag reduction system. The DRS. 20 kph down this back straight in towards Brooklands. He's up by half a tenth on his previous best. Can he keep that momentum up for the remainder of the lap? Look tidy through Brooklands. Through Luffield, taking a nice V-shaped line. Going in late. Cutting in. And getting that straight exit down the old pit straight. Through Woodcote. Bit of a right-hand kink. And then in towards Cops corner, the 90-degree right-hander where you really just have to chuck the car in and hope it sticks. Incredibly committed from Ghost. AP can't improve his time though. Ghost, in fact, has invalidated his time through Cops corner and won't be taking an improvement on his time. Kiernan and Speed though, all up for grabs between those two. Speed, purple to the first sector. The checkered flag is out. Qualifying is over. Though you are allowed to complete your lap if you are on a bit of a slide out of left field for Speed Alcoholic. Kiernan a little bit further up in terms of his lap, very close between the two. Kiernan not invalidating his lap. I thought he did there. We're going to have to switch between the two as they approach their final lap. A lot of traffic, a lot of cars for them to negotiate and hopefully not get stuck behind. Through Chapel and a bit of a cut for Speed. He's invalidated his final run. That's going to ruin his chance of pole. And in fact it was a little bit slower unfortunately for him. Kiernan, can he stretch his advantage and just secure it in case MX brings in an absolute worldie? But I think it is going to stay as it is through Vale. Through the right. And then again through the right to end off the lap. Corey P5, MX P6 across the line. It was quicker but only by a tenth dead. 26.826 for Kiernan to take his second pole position of the season. Incredible stuff from the Mercedes driver. He's going to be chasing his second win and try and get towards the lead of the championship. Very close, very decisive qualifying. Then we've got 3 cars here. That's a Red Bull. Is that a McLaren? No. It says it's a McLaren on the thing, and a Ferrari. Something else is there. Let's have a look. It's one of them. Oh no, it's an Alfa Romeo. I thought it was. I could see the all-in. I've had a bit of a pile-up, bit of a confusion on the start-finish straight. That's where they've obviously weaved themselves across the line and have just stopped, and their cars are absolutely buggered, I think is the right term to use in that sense. brings them in then to qualifying for round number 3 of the APPF1 Tier 1 Championship. Season number 3, brought to you by High Dive Apparel. Very nice, very good quality stuff over on their website. Do make sure to go and check it out. While we wait for qualifying to officially be drawn to a close, do make sure to like the stream if you are enjoying as well. Through club for Kiernan on his slowdown lap. He's going to pass the absolute carnage. That was 4 cars. And Scott as well, for good measure. But these guys keeping it a bit more sensible, keeping the teams happy. Motzi Peretz and the Haas as well is involved in this. It's a big pile-up. Looks spectacular in some sick artistic way, I suppose. But finally, it's been officially drawn to a close as qualifying, and this is how they stack up for the race. In just a few moments' time, Kiernan takes his second pole position of the season, a 1:26.826 for the Brit in the Mercedes. Speed Alcoholic will join him on the front row with Ghost P3 and AP rounding off P4. Corey in P5, decent performance for him in the Red Bull, looking to go forward in the race. Reigning champion MX P6 with Davila P7. Sumo in P8 with Taylor Hammers. Jack Alacco rounding off the top 10. Rick, prime position for the midfield for Ferrari in P11. Aces versus Kings in P12. Tier P13 with Womax and Bluey 14th and 15th. Scott, Zuba, Motzi Peretz, Schwaze and James McCrow will round off the grid. 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th and 20th. With James McCrow and Schwaze not really putting in their best lap times possible. Join us in a couple of moments then as we get ready for lights out here in Silverstone and get underway for round number 3. Do not go anywhere. Go get yourself a drink. Go get yourself a cup of tea. With a throat like mine, I certainly do need a drink right about now. Not been feeling particularly great, but cannot at all deprive APPF1 of the commentary because they deserve it. This action is always incredible. And with a little bit of cloud cover in the sky, bit of an ominous atmosphere going on. Is there going to be rain? Is the British weather going to get the better of us, or is it just going to be one of that taunting things where the game teases with us a little bit, says, oh, maybe there's going to be rain, maybe there might not be, there might be a few sprinkles. Is it going to be inters? Is it going to be full wet? Are you going to have to stay on slicks for a while? We never ever know. As we count down then to the formation lap, are we going to see some rain? Lap 0 of 26 then is how we do things. That's the formation lap. This basically, if you are new to Formula 1, as I said, this is the warm-up lap. Gives drivers a chance to drive to the grid, warm up their tyres left to right, weaving. That's what you'll often see them do. They use the friction to warm up the tyres, because the warmer the tyre is, the more grippy it's going to be, because the quicker it can change shapes, compared to the lateral G-forces that these cars go under. So the quicker it can change shape, the more rubber is going to be touching the track surface at any point in time. Though you don't want it too hot, because then they get too, I guess you could say, too slidey, I think is the word to put it. Predicted pit stop strategy then, soft to medium or soft to hard. Definitely going to be the soft to medium route, and a lot of people, I say a lot, about 6 people outside the top 10 going for mediums. Rick, Aces, Womax, Bluey, Scott, both McLarens on the mediums, and James McCrow at the back of the grid on the mediums as well. A race winner, James McCrow. Incredibly quick man. Knows his way around a racetrack. Does he know his way through a field though? You never know. We'll have to find out now and see how quickly he carves his way through the field. Kinnan though, very close qualifying between himself and Speed Alcoholic. It's going to be a tight run towards turn number 1. It could definitely come down to who gets the better launch. Last time we had a Red Bull and a Mercedes on the front row, we all know how that happened, or how that turned out. In an alternate universe though, can Speed and Kiernan keep it clean? Hopefully so. Here we are, one wing, Hello, hello. Welcome in. Pleasure to have you in. The warming up is done now. We're lining ourselves up onto the grid for the British Grand Prix, round number 3 of Tier 1, season number 3. 26 laps of the Silverstone International Circuit ahead of us. Lining up in P1 is Kiernan, the young Brit. Speed Alcoholic in P2 alongside Ghost. And AP, P3 and 4. Corey rounds off the top 5. It's going to be a dart to turn 1, Abby, as it is more commonly known. Make sure to leave your predictions in the chat once lap 1 comes to a close. Soon to see the green flag at the back of the grid. And then the 5 red lights to illuminate your screen very shortly. Here we are then. Cars revving up. We go to 5 red lights ahead of the British Grand Prix. 5 red lights are on. The cars are revving up. And we're underway, and it seems to be a pretty good start from pole position for Kiernan, though. Speed Alcoholic already pulling alongside and is ahead in towards Abby. Speed Alcoholic then takes the lead. Kiernan going to try and fight it. Bit of a side-by-side action with Corey, who's made a good start. AP as well up into P3, side-by-side with the AlphaTauri, who tries to go around the outside of Village. Still 1 and 2 for Speed and Kiernan. Back up the inside goes Ghost on Pals, who's going to fight it around the outside. They're going to be fighting through entry and down the hanger straight. A lot of carnage back, further back. That was the Alpine of Tier going off the track. AP stays ahead for the time being. Speed still leads Kiernan. And down in towards Brooklands for the first time. To the left-hand side goes Ghost. He's going to send a bit of contact between the two. As close as you can get now. Pals around the outside. It's the inside for Luffield. Quickly turns in. What a scrap this is for the podium place. Still side by side as they exit Luffield and onto the old pit straight. Pals just about manages to edge his way ahead. Kiernan trying to mount a challenge. Pals going defensive in towards Cops. Shouldn't be too hard for Sumo. Trying to go around the outside. Side by side through Cops with the Aston Martin there of Davila. Gets the move done. But it was off track. And that might have a bit of a bad look on it by the stewards. Speed leads then from Kiernan. Pals goes to MX, your top 5 after sector 2 on lap 1 down the hanger straight. And Speed Alcoholic under pressure goes to the right hand side. Again, this fight for the podium rages on. The AlphaTauri goes down the inside. The Aston Martin of Pals though says no you don't, I'm going to stick my nose in, I'm going to keep the foot in around the outside. It's then the inside, the left hand side of Vale. Ghost says no you don't, I'm going the long way round. Quickly turns into the inside, claims the corner, gets himself ahead finally, but Pals is not giving this up whatsoever. What a scrap this is. He might even come back at him down the Hamilton straight in towards Abbey, but it says I'm going to live to fight another day. MX, the reigning champion, has been brought right back into this fight. Tyr and Davila side by side. Davila driven off the circuit on the grass and is going to lose an absolute plethora of positions. Both McLarens go through. Scott has a look, bit of contact maybe between them. And we cut back to the front because MX is mounting a challenge on these two. Lap 2 of 26. DRS will be enabled next time around. Rick trying to have a look on the outside of Tyr as they go down the hanger straight, I should say, in towards Brooklands. Rick tries it around the outside, tries to go for the switcheroo. Now Sumo says thank you very much, I'm coming through. Down the inside is the outside, the long way round through Luffield. Can he keep the foot in? Indeed he can. Very nice stuff from Sumo on those soft compound tyres. Going to have a major grip advantage over the mediums of Rick, but still a good move. Takes bravery in order to do that. Kiernan leads back in front of Speed. Somehow managed to get that move done. Didn't quite see it, in fact, I don't believe. Maybe a mistake from Speed. Saw them swap around, but Speed has got his work cut out for him in order to keep, get that position back that he claimed on lap 1. It was a great start from Speed. If he could have another look at it, I certainly would show, because almost got himself ahead instantaneously. Now Kiernan going to try and stretch his legs though. Speed needs to try his hardest in order to retain in that 1 second range, that crucial 1 second range to benefit from the drag reduction system. Championship leader of Davila though, down in P19. He's really had a poor start, getting overtaken by Koru, who himself has had a bad start, both into the pit lane. And Kiernan has opened up that 1 second gap to Speed behind. Hopefully this isn't going to be set the tone for the rest of the race, and Speed can mount somewhat of a challenge to the absolutely incredibly quick man in the Mercedes. AP, can he mount a challenge on Ghost, who just about retains the DRS of Speed in front? This could turn into a fight for P2 then, if Ghost can latch onto the back of Speed and then slowly start, pardon me, to reel him in. Sumo up the inside of Wumax, who down into P11 though on the mediums. Ace is really flying those mediums high, up in P7, chasing down Taylor Hammers for P number 6. Schwaze in the Haas, getting past his teammate for P16, a little bit further back down, trying to skim our way through as much action as we can. Though we're going to have to cut our attention back to the front because Ghost is piling on the pressure for Speed, who's just a little bit in front of him. For the first time, Ghost has had a Red Bull in his sights around Silverstone. He's also got AP for company this time around. Can Ghost get the job done, though, is the question. Is he going to succumb to the pressure from behind? So much closing speed under the brakes. Aces, though, gets himself ahead of Taylor Hammers. Really, he's just found some pace on those mediums that no one else has managed to do. And Jackalacko and Taylor have to settle in behind for the time being. The Aces goes in a little bit deep. This could open the door for Taylor to have a look down into turn number 1 down the Hamilton straight. Jackalacko goes off a little bit off track. Back to the front. Seems like the skies are clearing up a little bit. No threat of rain, I would imagine so then. Through the loop and on to the hanger straight. DRS open for Ghost. Is he going to mount the challenge or is he going to save his DRS? I think on this time around he's going to save his DRS. And for Pals, it's going to be a very difficult task as Speed goes deep. Ghost looks to the inside, is actually going to mount a challenge maybe. Seizes this opportunity. Speed goes in deep once again. Ghost tries to fill the space on the inside and then take the track away from him on the exit. And now Ghost sees this opportunity. He knows that Speed is under pressure. Jackalacko and Taylor Hammer's going to go side by side in towards Cobbs. He's forced off the track. Jackalacko taken off the boards with him, the polystyrene boards. Taylor Hammer's giving him a big squeeze and lets him through just to say sorry. They're now side by side in towards Maggots and Beckett's. Jackalacko gets the position, bit of contact between the two. Back to the front because Ghost is closing at a rate of knots. Speed up, it goes defensive. The AlphaTauri to the left hand side is going to be the long way around for Stowe. We've seen that to be the better line. Doesn't even matter because he's ahead before the corner. Great stuff from Ghost to seize that opportunity as soon as he could take it. And Speed from the lead down to P3 in just a matter of a few laps. This is Tyr on the back of Sumo. Taylor Hammer's already a 3-second time penalty, the first man to have done so. This could be a fight for P7, turning into a fight for P8, 9 and 10 as well, and even P11, 12. Further back as P13 as this DRS train comprised of. Going to try and include as much midfield action as we can because the midfield is always very spicy, as we've come to know and love. Sometimes even better than the fight for the race lead, which, to be fair, is the case. Kinnan, 1.9 seconds ahead of Speed, Ghost and Paus, who are going to try and remount that challenge, though their best interest probably is just to work together at this stage. Because Kinnan is cruising. He's on a nice Friday cruise up in front, though Paus, for his home race, he's going to want to get himself onto the podium, make it an all-British 1, 2, 3. Sumo on the back of the Williams down the old pit straight in towards Copse Corner. Lap 5 of 26. We're approaching the pit window in probably around about 5 or 6 laps time. I'd say we're halfway through the first stint at this point in time. Sumo once again going in deep through Copse, just not getting the car turned in. Could be the heavy fuel load, or could be the tyres slowly starting to lose a little bit more grip down the Wellington straight for these guys at the front of the field. No moves going on for the time being. This is Sumo. They're going to mount one to Taylor, who goes to defensive to the inside. Sumo look to the left, to the right hand side. Now comes back to the left, the long way round, backs out of it. Lets Taylor go in deep. In fact, is going to look around the outside. Gets left the space. Uses the RS, forces Taylor's hand in order to give him space down the inside. He's braver under brakes, though. Taylor sticking his nose in, comes back at him down the inside of the next part of the Vale chicane. Sumo says, "No, you don't. I'm going to try and fight it." Can't quite do it though. A valiant effort indeed from the Alfa Romeo. He's going to try and come back at him in towards Abbey. Taylor flinches, goes semi-defensive. Could jeopardise his run in towards Village though. Is Sumo going to wait for the DRS? Yes, he is. He's going to tuck him behind, not lose the ground behind, and just wait for the perfect moment to strike. MX now being brought onto this train for the podium places. Ghost has made a slight indent into Kinnan's lead. Remember, 1 second for DRS. Sumo to the right hand side of Taylor Hammers. Is he ahead before the corner? Yes, he is, but Taylor comes back at him to the inside of Brooklands. The Alfa Romeo goes around the outside, keeps his foot in. Very nice stuff. No, is that Paus round? Yes, it is. Oh no! Paus tumbling down the order from P4 on track, and that is heartbreak for Paus. When we thought the spins were over, a little bit too eager on the throttle out of Lovefield, I would presume, and put that incident down to. That is such a shame for Paus, who was looking good. His pace was looking really, really good for this race, and in doing so, his spin has cost MX the DRS and latching onto that train. Taylor Hammer's really struggling through Chapel, allowing Tyr to maybe have a look down in towards Stowe corner. The Alpine going to go to the right hand side. It's going to be a bit of a send under brake, so he's got the run. Taylor Hammer's going to try and keep his nose in on the outside. He gets given the space, maybe a little bit too much space from Tyr. And now Speed and Ghost have sort of been unleashed to be by themselves. They're probably going to want to work together. Paus in for an early stop then. Probably to mediums to the end maybe, or is it a new front wing? We'll have to wait and find out. Speed versus Ghost. Are they going to work together though? That is my question. They're both saving up a ton of ERS. So too is Kiernan. Both just waiting. Probably just want to push work together. Not lose any time to Kiernan or MX behind, and just try and close the gap if possible. Both Red Bull family teammates. Hello, Diego. Pleasure to have you in. Don't think I've ever seen you here before, man, but it's always a pleasure to see a new face. Tyr, though, meanwhile, gets himself up into the top 8. Tyr on a good run of form as well. Womax in P10 on the medium tyres, going to go long. Ace is up in P5 with no proper pit stops, by the way. That is P5, and he's on the mediums. Those that final soft tyre stint could be crucial for Aces, and he could even see himself on the podium, maybe. But let's not get ourselves ahead of ourselves just yet, because we have got a race in store. The two Williams, Womax and Taylor Hammer, is going to be looking to have a bit of a battle on home turf. Womax in the DRS. His teammate also benefits from it. Taylor going semi-defensive. Womax doesn't really know where to go. Is he going to go to the inside? Yes, he is. Has a little bit of a look on his teammate. Doesn't need to go full send because the Constructors' Championship is still a thing. And the last thing you want to do is take out your teammate. That would be absolutely heartbreaking. I don't think... I think it's Jos Capito for Williams. Is the team principal. I don't think he'd like that very much. 1.3 seconds is the gap at the front then. Ghost is chipping away at Kiernan. Both with a relatively even amount of ERS. Rick on the back of Womax. He's on the back of this DRS train as well. It's medium for 10th down to 14th. And then the sole person inside the top, top 9 really, on the mediums is Aces up in P5. Rick, can he mount a challenge? No, he can't quite. That's the thing with DRS. Once you're in a train, it's hard to close up onto the guy in front of you if you're 3rd, 4th, 5th in a train. Is the problem the two Hasses still going at it? Motti Perez going to have to go defensive from his teammate Schwarze. He's going to look to the right-hand side. Going to go for the switcheroo. Try look back up the inside for Luffield. I'm going to cut to the front though. His speed is on the back of Ghost. Bit of a poor run off the exit of Chapel. And he's using his ERS. Is he actually going to go for a move? We might see one. Speed says, I'm going to try and take the reins. To the right-hand side he goes. Is Ghost going to fight it, or is he going to back out? He is going to fight it. Going to go around the outside through Stowe. Keeps his foot in the two Honda powered cars. The Red Bull versus the AlphaTauri. Speed comes out on top. Ghost, though, going to be brave under brace. Sends it to the inside. Gets given the space. Now going to try and go for the switcheroo through Club. Speed covers it off very brilliantly. Parked that car exactly where it needed to be in order to retain the position. And now they've lost a good 7 tenths in that little bit of a skirmish, but Speed managed to get himself back where he started in this race. 1, 2, 3, Kiernan, Speed, Ghost. That's how they lined up in qualifying as well. Sumo on the back of Jack Alaco, the fight for P6 as we approach lap 9 of 26, or on to lap 9 of 26 of this race. Taylor Hammers, Tyr, Womax, Rick, Bluey and James McCrow all locked into this tight train of DRS. Ghost going to fight back at Speed Alcoholic though in towards Brooklands. Nearly missed it, but he didn't quite go for a move. He's going to have to keep him honest. The more they fight, the more they lose touch to Kiernan in front. Taylor Hammers getting past Tyr, launching the counter attack. Tyr gives him the place. Sumo had a look at Jack Alaco as well. Tyr going to fight it side by side maybe. Through Woodcote onto the old pitch straight. Didn't quite have the run. Looked to MotoGP and the 2019 British Grand Prix when it was, I think it was Alex Rins and Marc Marquez. Virtually nothing across the line. Identical, essentially. Alex Rins just got an incredible run off Woodcote, so it is it's a kink, but certainly is still a corner side by side. The two guys fighting for 2nd and 3rd. They're both fighting for supremacy as they come in to the pit lane. Ghost is the lead car. Speed and P3. MX stays out. So too does Kiernan. Ace is of course going to stay out. Jack Alaco also. Sumo stays with him. Taylor's in. Tyr also going to stay out. Rick also on those mediums, of course. Going to stay out. But how powerful is the undercut? That is my question. They're both going on to the mediums. Are these mediums going to be quicker than those old softs? That could actually bring these two back into this race. Ghost 4 for supremacy as they come into the pit lane. Yellow flags through sector 3, I believe. That's one of the Haas cars. That is at Schwaze, getting all sorts of wrong through Vale. Probably locked the rears is probably my best guess. Though for Ghost, they haven't come out in clear air. It's not the best. But they should manage to breeze past the Haas, who's not really fighting for position. So they need to get through, clear the traffic, and then focus on getting themselves as close as they can to Kiernan once he comes out of the pit lane. AP, a 3-second penalty. Bad day in the office for Aston Martin so far. Both had potential as the Haas goes defensive over a car that isn't actually racing and is really holding up Ghost here. Though the Haas very much entitled to fight for his track position. This is allowing Speed to close the gap. Remember, this is the fight for net P2. Rumax on the back of tier. Jacko having the Alfa Romeo of Sumo fill his mirrors down the Wellington straight in towards Stowe, closing at a rate of knots as the Alfa Romeo. Is he going to be close enough to go for the move? Jacko defends. Sumo to the left. Not quite committed around the outside. They're going to tuck in, practically push him through Stowe. Maybe have a look to the left-hand side of Vale. Going to put the pressure on. In fact, no, he's not, because Jackalacco into the pit lane. So too is Kiernan and MX. Very busy. Sumo stays out an extra lap. Cutting our focus back to this fight as Motzi Peretz gets done by both Speed and Ghost. In fact, he's lost his front wing and was just struggling that much for grip, though. Right on board with Ghost as it's a straight fight between himself and Kiernan in the Mercedes. Could be very close, in fact. He's now leaving the pit lane. It's going to take him a while to get up to speed. Nah, he's clear. Kiernan, yeah, that fight with Motzi Peretz really cost him. They probably could have got the undercut as well. It's a long and slow pit lane here at Silverstone tier. Side by side with Wumax in towards Brooklands. The Alpine on the outside, the Williams on the inside. Rick trying to find a way through the two blues. Side by side, Williams trying to put the power down. Wumax trying it. They're still side by side, coming onto the old pit straight. Though Tier is going to be the better and going to win this one out. They are side by side in towards Cops. The other Alpine of James McCrow getting up the inside of Bluey, claims the corner. Nice stuff. They're now going to be 3 abreast in towards Maggots, Beckers and Chapel. I think Tier just chose life in terms of that one, and Rick managing to get his way through. Against himself and Wumax now, who was struggling in terms of ERS and DRS, closing at a rate of knots as Rick, because he's got an entire battery at his disposal. Around the outside, go for it, Rick. Keep that foot in, you crazy Dutchman. Tries not quite to full avail. I'm going to try it once more around the outside. Scott, a 3-second penalty. Sumo finally into the pit lane. As they all inherit a couple of positions more. As Sumo comes in, he's going to lose a couple of places because that undercut does cost you. That going long does cost you on those softs. Speed trying to keep Ghost honest, so that gap to Kiernan is constantly growing. I think it is just going to be a fight between Ghost and Speed for that final couple of podium places. For second and third, that is. Still a lot of cars, a lot of carnage going on. This is probably the fight, I'd say, for a net P9 on track. Rick leads the bunch with Rumax, Tier, James and Bluey very close in pursuit. 3 Cops. Wumax having to spot his breaking point. The 2 Alpines swapping places. James goes up the inside of Tier. Motzi Peretz, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Wumax close to Rick, and this is a provisional P2. Though after pit stops could be a P9. Good points. Not a lot in the battery for the Williams, though Rick's still forced to defend. The Williams to the left-hand side. It's the long way round. Not quite committed enough to go for it. Keeps his foot in, though. Gets given the space. Now side by side in towards Vale. Is he going to send it back up the inside, take the tighter line? No, Rick just soars around the outside. Gives him the space. Keeps the position. They get a poor run off the second part of Vale through Club. And Wumax having to tuck in behind. Couldn't quite get a good enough run to capitalise. Kiernan on the back of Scott. Scott going to try and do his best to slow him up for Ghost. Though 3 seconds is going to be a monumental task for Scott to slow him down. Every little helps, though. Through in towards Village. Is Kiernan going to bide his time? Indeed he is. Just going to be patient. No need to rush it. He's got the lead, all very close to contact to the rear diffuser of that McLaren there for the Mercedes of Kiernan. He's got a good lead. He does not need to throw it away. Scott with a lot of battery at his disposal. Kiernan to the left-hand side, going to sail past, I think. Yeah, no fight from the McLaren of Scott. Who knows how to pick and choose his fights. Ghost and Speed still working together, though. They're doing their best in order to close the gap. Because they know if a win is on, they want to, they just want to smash it as best they can and limit the amount of wins that Kiernan gets, because he is going to be a force to reckon with in races to come. Williams, Ferrari and Alpine along with McLaren, four very historic teams in Formula 1, fighting it out in APPF1. Max goes defensive, though it's a valiant effort. Rick just going to soar past with his ERS advantages, DRS and the slingshot effect from the slipstream. Right now these guys are going to come into the pit lane. Aces leads from Rick, Womack, James, Bluey and Kiernan. Now pretty much the entirety of the field are on mediums. Bluey comes in for his stop and on to the soft compound tyres. This is Sumo on the back of Jack Lacko. These two been fighting for quite a while. Look for the space on the inside, this time going to go to the outside. Keep his foot in again. You lose a little bit of ground through the mid part, then you can get the power down so much more early than the guy on the inside. Then claim the corner, have the inside for Vale, this final chicane, and get it done. Done and dusted very simply. But Sumo not going to be complaining that he gets himself up a couple of paces up into P10 as it stands. James McCrow on the back of the Williams, who's struggling in terms of the energy recovery system, the battery, the MGUK, one of the two. One of them harvests, one of them deploys the kinetic energy to the rear wheels for an extra 160 brake horsepower, I believe it is, to rear wheel drive cars. It means these Formula 1 cars peak at around about 1100 horsepower, I think. The likes of Mercedes can reach. I think it's turbocharged V6 hybrid in the back of these cars. And that's all going to those rear wheels, and they only weigh around about 700 kilos in race spec, which is incredibly huge power to weight ratio. That is the case of Formula 1 cars, though. They do have a case of doing that. Rick going side by side with Womax for the fight for P2, as we saw Ghost getting past Scott. So too with Speed. The Ferrari on the inside of the Williams going to try it around the outside. Can't quite manage to make that one stick on this occasion, though. Still fighting hammer and tongue for second, third and fourth provisionally. Should come out around about just in front of Blue, I think. P11, 12, 13, somewhere around that mark. But the more they stay out, the more time they lose, and the less time they're going to have to make up an advantage on those softs. And towards the loop, Rick goes in very deep. That allowed Womax to close the gap, but Rick just managed to get a monster launch off the corner. So Womax not with much to say about that one. Going semi-defensive is Rick. James McCrow probably the biggest threat of the three. Looking to the inside. Not quite much going to be, not a lot going to be happening on that particular occasion. Jack Lacko and Sumo still fighting at it for P10. The Alpha versus the Ferrari, the Brit versus the Scot. Down the hanger straight in towards Brooklands, closing at a rate of knots. Is it close enough in order to launch an attack? No, going to have to settle in behind for the time being. 3.2 separate Kiernan, Ghost and Speed. 3 cops. For the 15th time, just over halfway done now with this British Grand Prix. We've had a lot of action, a lot of drama, but Kiernan seems to be the one running away with it. James still fighting Womax, who's not trying to close the gap to Rick, though these guys probably going to want to think about pitting relatively soon. Is Rick in? No. Is James in? James is in. He's going to dart to the right hand side of the pit lane. That brings Kiernan up into P4. Ghost will inherit that position as well as Speed. Kiernan setting the fastest lap on his way to do so. 29.4, I believe it was his previous best lap time. Indeed, 29.5, I stand corrected, and a 29.8 for both Ghost and Speed. They are very close on pace, and very close on track as well. Though unfortunately, not quite on the pace of Kiernan, who's absolutely flying up in front. In towards Brooklands, braking at the 50. He's taking a very strange line, this Speed. I don't think he wants to close the gap to Ghost. I think he just wants to maintain in DRS range and then use that to stay with him. I think that's probably going to be his plan. He's just saving ERS. Look at the difference between Ghost and Speed. 90 to 63. Around about a third more has Ghost. And Davila with a fast lap. 29.5 matching Kiernan Space. And it's the quickest man on track. And oh no, Speed. Speed is disconnected. That is such a shame. A big shame for the Red Bull, who was fighting for P2. This opens the door for MX to inherit P3 at the very least, which is just huge heartbreak for him. Hopefully he can get his way back into the lobby quickly and take control of his AI, so MX doesn't get a free position, though he will for now. Womax, Rick and Ace is all into the pit lane for their pit stop. So Kiernan back into the race lead, followed by Ghost and Scott, who is yet to pit, so that will turn into MX. Aces, though, in P6, and he's not far off Speed in P5. That'll be a net P4 after Scott pits. He's only 5 seconds off a podium here. He could do it. Could definitely do it. He's got the ERS, he's got the tyres to do it. Has he got the lap count, though? That is going to be the other question. Jack Lacko still on the back of Sumo. This fight for a net P6 gets through. Does Aces on Speed, which is such a shame that this has happened to Aces, but it's motorsport, it happens, and it is always heartbreaking when it does. Purple to the first sector for James McCrow, though he's stuck in this train. Taylor Hammers is out of this session. Is that going to be a full course yellow? It definitely is. It's a full course safety car. This gives Aces a chance, this gives him a breather, time to get back in. But most importantly, closes the gap between Kiernan and Scott. Is anyone of these guys going to come in for a fresh set of softs? Scott, this helps him out tremendously. Gets a free pit stop and he's going on to fresh soft compound tyres. Kiernan's in, Ghost comes in as well. Aces are going to take the lead then, he's on fresh softs. Aces is going to take the lead of the British Grand Prix. Scott, a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car. That is such a shame. MX stays out on his medium tyres, so Aces is in fact going to be P2. Speed's AI stays out, Sumo's in, Jacko's in, Tier coming in, Bluey. Anyone that started on the mediums, this is exactly why you might want to start on the mediums, because of things like this. They're going to gain tremendously. It's going to be a busy pit lane, there's going to be people getting held up, there's going to be people getting stopped. There's going to be, well, just the whole pit lane. It's this very slow and long pit lane here at Silverstone. Tier, Womax, they're all going to gain so much as Rick comes out P6, purely because he was on the mediums. He's in P5 now. Kiernan down into P4, goes to P7. He's got a good 2 cars between himself and Kiernan. This has really spiced things up. Yeah, this is now spicy. This is going to be a very, very tasty sprint to the finish. Speed back in. Oh no. Speed's rejoined. So his AI has overtaken the safety car. Is he going to get disqualified? I think he might. This has happened to me before. His AI's taken control. He's overtaken the safety car. Wait, so too is Kiernan. They've both overtaken the safety car. Oh, because it stopped. Oh, thank God for that. So Speed gets a chance to get back into his AI, which is always good, or get out of his AI. Currently P3, Kiernan going to be breathing down his neck. I think Aces could be favourite to win this race. This is going to be a stellar finish to this race. I was worried it was going to get a little bit boring and stagnate towards the end, but no. Thanks to Taylor bottling it, we now have an absolute cracker in store for us right now. So do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And if anyone has gone and you know they've gone, bring them right back, because in a couple of laps time this is going to be the tastiest finish to APPF1 I think in a long time. Could be anyone's game. Couple of people on the mediums, couple on the softs. Gives AP and Davila a chance to maybe claw back some time. Corey had a bit of a quiet drive as well in P15. He's just not been having the best of fun really, has he? And those of you who are in the chat and perhaps are new to Formula 1 in any way, shape or form, do not hesitate to ask any questions if there is anything on your mind that you need answering. I'll try my best. I do know a lot about Formula 1. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. So if you are sat there not having a Scooby as to what I'm saying, pop it into the live chat. I am checking it constantly to see your guys' reactions, your guys' thoughts, your guys' predictions. What do we think about the rest of this race then, guys? In the live chat, do let me know. We can discuss while we're under the safety car, because there isn't going to be much to talk about whilst under. The Aston Martin safety car, British safety car at a British track, makes sense. I think it's the... I've always called it the DBX. I think the DBX is the medical car, and the safety car is the DB9. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what I heard. Last time I heard someone mention the safety car. Speed has dropped down to P5. Into the safety car, coming up into P3 then. This could be incredibly good for Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship then. They're going to have a great haul of points, and they probably could go on to finish 1-2. Rick could have a podium here. Ghost needs to carve his way through. We know how good he is at that. And whilst we wait, I'm going to run and grab a glass of water because we've got a lap. Speed comes in for a fresh set of softs under the safety car. He's going to lose an insane amount of positions. But do not go anywhere. I'll be 2 seconds. And I am back from my ventures to the kitchen for a glass of water because my throat is killing me. Too much action in APPF1, and I thought I'd prepare for the worst for this safety car restart because MX is incredibly aggressive. He is going to get his elbows out and he is going to try and win this race to the best of his ability. Fingers crossed this is going to be the last lap under the safety car, but don't count on that. MX, Aces, Kiernan, Rick in P4 with Rumax P5, Ghost P6, Scott P7, James McCrow P8, with Jack Lacko P9 and Bluey rounding off the top 10. Good results so far for the McLaren guys. Safety car is in this lap then. That's how your top 10 rounds off. MX is going to lead them round. He becomes the effective safety car. You can see weaving around left to right to left to right, getting some temperature into those medium compound tyres. He's going to have an absolute monumental task of keeping the swarm of soft compound tyre runners behind him for the next 7 or 6 laps. Once we cross the line, it's going to be MX that leads us round. He's going to try and maximise the exit. He's going to need to hope that the people behind him have a bit of a poor run. The safety car light is off. It's full discretion to MX as to when he punches this and gets us going for the final 6 laps of the round number 3 British Grand Prix for the APPF1 Tier 1 Championship. Rumax, a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Ghost. That's going to give Ghost a penalty as well. That could be disputed by the stewards. Though when is MX going to punch it? We're back under green flag racing. He has gone. Aces reacts relatively well. So does Kiernan, Rick, Rumax and Ghost, who manages to get himself ahead, or was ahead, going in towards the start-finish line. This is Kiernan on the back of his teammate. We've got Scott going up the inside of Ghost. Ghost really going backwards. He's lost a couple of places already, and in fact he has, because he's lost his front wing. That is Ghost completely and utterly out of contention for this race victory. The two Mercedes down the Wellington straight, or down the Hangar straight. Going defensive is Aces, brings it back to the left, so brings it back to the right, so Kinnan going to go to the left-hand side, goes up the inside, Aces gives him the room, squeezing through the two Mercedes, now side by side, the crowd roar their approval as Kinnan has to concede the position so far. Tucks back in, Tier with a bit of a spin, going through sector 1, and the two Mercedes now going to fight this out in towards Cop's corner. Kinnan not quite close enough in order to mount a challenge. MX struggling on those medium compound tyres further up. Bluey on the back of Corey, who's up a couple of places off this safety car restart. The entirety of the top 11 are on softs, except for MX on the mediums all by himself. Ace is going to try and challenge for the race lead on this lap if he can. MX weaving around, trying his best in order to break that toe. MX still managing to maintain the lead. Aces can't quite mount the challenge that he needs to. Kinnan still having to stagnate behind as well. Lap 21 of 26 coming to a close. Still a sprint race to the finish. DRS will be enabled going on to lap 23. And Kinnan down the Hamilton straight, goes to the right hand side of his teammate. Are they going to be side by side through Abbey? Ace is on the outside. Kinnan going to send one to the inside for P2. Ace is forced to concede that position. Incredibly good move from Kinnan, who's now going to set his sights forward to chase after that race victory. James going to the outside, is then quickly going to turn to the inside. Down the inside he goes on Scott for P6. Scott keeps his foot in around the long way through Aintree. And on to this back straight. Kinnan now going to challenge for the race lead to the inside of Brooklands. MX going to try it around the outside. The fight for the race lead, though, that Mercedes. Kinnan on soft tyres, a lethal combination, retakes the race lead of the British Grand Prix, and is probably going to sail off into the distance now, though Aces still has a chance for P2. MX has lost one place, overtakes, Breed overtakes, and he's probably going to lose a couple more. Rick definitely has a chance for a podium here in this race then. A shame for Ghost, who tumbles down to the back of the grid. Look how much time he's lost, serving that penalty, that wing change as well. So that is a shame. A clumsy mistake for Ghost, though. Down the Wellington straight then for Aces, as he tries his best to close the gap to MX, who's weaving his way down the straight, trying to break the toe, break the hole in the air that he's punching for Aces. He's sitting in a nice little pocket, feeling a lot less drag pushing him back than MX. That's how slipstream works. Jackalacco up the inside of Scott, who in fact is coming into the pit lane, not quite sure why, probably for a wing change or for damage. Oh no, of course for his drive through, isn't it? So that's going to see him to the back of the field. DRS enabled this lap. MX has kept Kinnan honest in all fairness, and he is still within 1 second. Is it going to be the 1 second he needs in order to stay in front of Aces or mount a challenge? Probably not. But it's enough to keep him in front for the time being. James McCrow on the back of Womax. Can he mount a challenge for P5? Closing. Remember, James started on the back row of the grid. He started last in this race and is now contesting for P5. Could be P4 if he gets a move on quick. Jackalacco, the other Ferrari. His teammate up in P4, trying to latch onto the back of this fight for the podium place. Kinnan sailing off into the distance, it seems, though. He's got some incredible pace. I would say under the bonnet of that Formula 1 car, but they don't have bonnets. So he's got a lot of pace in that car, let's say that much, for Kinnan. Sumo fighting it out with Bluey. The snitch versus the wrestler. DRS down the Wellington straight. We're going to cut our focus back to the front because Womax is on the back of Rick. Womax, in fact, could have a chance at a podium had it not been for that 5-second time penalty he had. Kinnan still, MX, to be fair to him, has got some good pace on those mediums. 3 laps left in this race to go then, 24, 25 and 26. Kinnan leads from MX, Aces, Rick, Womax, your top 5. With James McCrow, Jackalacco, Corey, Bluey, Sumo, your top 10. Palfs with the fastest lap of the race at 28.545 on those soft compound tyres. Ace is mounting a challenge on MX, going to look to go around the outside. MX sort of flinches, gives him some reminiscence of space. DRS open for Aces down the hanger straight to the left hand side. Going to blitz past, say thank you very much. I'm going to make it a Mercedes at 1-2 thanks to that late safety car. Ace has managed to capitalise, could have had a chance at a race win had he got a move on quicker. But unfortunately for him, it didn't do so. and has had to settle for P2, though still has a chance. 1.6 separates him from his teammate, with Zuba losing a place to Speed Alcoholic. I think there might have been a bit of contact between the two. There still is a bit of confusion going on. Again, Speed, like Ghost, was a driver that could have really capitalised off this safety car, but unfortunately sort of fell back towards the beginning of it. MX, can he launch a counter-attack on Aces going on to the penultimate lap? In towards Stowe, seems a little bit too far back in order to properly mount one. James McCrow a little bit lower on ERS than Jack Galacco behind. In towards Stowe corner. The Alpine having to flinch. The Ferrari goes for the inside, just sort of to bait him out to say, James, I'm here. I will go for the move if you give me the opportunity. The Alpine once again going semi-defensive. The Red Bull of Corey going to send one to the inside. The Ferrari gives him the space. Fair play to Corey there. He gets a drive off club. Going to send one to the inside. Gets given the space once again. Very, very aggressive from the Red Bull, who's on an absolute charge towards the front of the field after a poor start. Gets himself a 3-second time penalty though. I think that is going to add to his total. Indeed, it is 12 seconds for Corey. He's going to tumble down. So Rick charging after MX. A lap and a half left to go. And once he's in that DRS, he's going to try and start to reel MX in. And if Rick can get himself a podium, I think there is only one Rick National Anthem in course to play. If you haven't heard it yet, it's absolutely fantastic. And if he does get the podium, we're gonna play tribute to it with his national anthem. This is James McCrow going to the right hand side of Womax in towards Cobb's corner. Not much going to come to fruition in that case. Corey though lurking in the background despite having 12 seconds of penalties. The two Aston Martins. AP, to be fair to him, once again comeback drive of the league. Comeback driver. He's probably going to be his new AKA because he is just incredibly good at these. I say it time and time again, this is Womax getting past Rick though. That is not what Rick wanted, and now he's got a plethora of cars behind him. Look at that, James, Jacko and Koru all waiting to pounce. And on to the final lap of this race. Kinnan leads ahead of a Mercedes 1-2 with Aces second, MX third. Can he hang on for a podium? If he can, fair play. Kinnan sets the fastest lap of the race. A 1:28.503, very close stuff then, with Jack Galacco looking to make up a final charge in this race to try and make up a couple more places. This is Sumo on the back of Bluey in towards Village for the final time, then going to try and dump into the inside. Is he? No. Going to stick behind. Jack Galacco getting passed by Koru. Up into P7. Rick is going to launch the counter-attack on Womax, who already goes defensive. He knows he's vulnerable. He's going to use everything left in the tank. MX keeping Aces honest. Could be close between them. Sumo gets past Bluey for P9 down the back straight and is in fact side by side with Bluey through Brooklands in towards Luffield. You can see Davila and Palps waiting in the wings. Davila sends it to the inside, uses the space that Sumo creates. Now is side by side with the McLaren, the two British teams, the two British drivers through Woodcote onto the old pit straight. The fight for P10, the final place in the top 10, side by side through Cobbs, and Bluey comes out on top, drives himself a little bit off track, but I think we can excuse that. And this is all kicking off very close. Quarters racing between these guys. Incredible stuff. Now Koru side by side with James McCrow. It's not going to matter because of his penalties, but still the on-track pride. He's had an absolutely insane recovery drive. P6 on track, definitely a commendable effort. This is Rick now side by side with the Williams. There's contact as they go through Stowe, but we have to avert our attention. They're side by side in towards the final corner, but Kinnan for the second time in a row wins in APPF1. It's a Mercedes 1-2 as Aces comes home P2. MX in P3 with Womax 4th, James 5th. Did Rick go off? He did. Rick had a spin fighting with Womax, goes up to P6 on penalties though. Fair play. It's a 6-7 for Ferrari. Sumo P8 with Womax P9. AP P10. Fair play. 10 points in the bag for AP. He cannot complain. Really, really cannot complain, AP. That was a good recovery drive. Wasn't the podium he'd have wanted, but yeah, that was a stellar finish to a stellar race. Fantastic stuff, guys. Should all give yourself a pat on the back for that one. Bluey gets a well-deserved driver of the day, I think, from quite far back. To be fair, mine would probably be James. I'd say James has done a good job. MX should be proud of that one. Yeah, P3, good result for Alfa Romeo. And after all of that, it's a Mercedes at 1-2. Kiernan from pole to win. Well, that wasn't going to tell the whole story ever. He wins his second APPF1 race in a row and takes the British Grand Prix. Aces makes it a British and Mercedes 1-2 from 12 on the grid. MX rounds off the podium with Louis P4. Incredible drive. Only one place off the podium. It will come. It definitely will come. Davila P5 with Rick P6, Jackalacco P7, Sumo in P8, Wumax and AP round off the top 10 with James McCrow from last on the grid to P11. I think it was something like P6 on track before penalties. Good drive from the Alpine. Speed Iconic after lagging out and losing a lot of places under the safety car. P12 for him was the best he could do. Tier 13th to 13. Monty Ferretz in P14 with Corey 15th. Zuba in 16th along with his teammate Ghost, who gets the fastest lap, but it's a bittersweet moment for him because he definitely knows he could have been up there fighting with the front guys had it not been for that clumsy mistake under the safety car. Scott in P18 with Schwarze rounding off the field. But Taylor Hammer's the lone at DNF in P20. The cause of that cause of the whole shebang in terms of that final finish. Those final 8 laps were absolutely incredible. Oh, MX is going to snitch on Kiernan in order to make him lose his race win. Not the best thing. I mean, rules are rules, but you know, it's like that kid that tells on you for using your phone at school, or reminds the teacher of homework. You know, is it really worth it? But hey, rules are rules. He's perfectly in his right to do so. I personally wouldn't, but if he does, he can get himself a couple of positions more. Fair play to him. Could be P2. That would ruin Kiernan's night, I'm sure. Nonetheless, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking you through round number 3 of the Tier 1 Championship. I've been Zach Sweeney, and this has been APPF1. Join me next week for round number 4. Not quite sure as to where we're going. I will double check in just a moment, but I will say goodbye and wish you an absolutely incredible evening. I hope you have enjoyed, and as I said, I've been Zach Sweeney. This has been APPF1, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.